Was gut? Deejus here, and today I got a nice replay commentary for y'all. So, the other day I was searching for games in Advanced Wars by web, and I suddenly heard this faint noise in the background. It was like do 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 do, and I listened a little closer, and I heard do 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 diddly diddly doo 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 until my ears exploded from how loud it was. And then I realized I had a match against a Grit player, and I was like, whoa. You see, Grit's not that common an opponent, especially in Fog. Well, actually, not a common opponent, period, because he's broken in standard tier, so you can't really play him. And in Fog, he's usually tier 1, so there's Hawk and, Von Bolt and stuff, so he's not as picked as often. However, for Scavenger, one of my favorite maps, by the way, he was available for tier 2, meaning you can use Grit alongside Olaf, Max, Eagle, so it's a rarity seeing Grit. This map, he's not particularly good, hence the dropping, because I'm not going to go into detail too much about the map because I went over it earlier in my other video, but it's kind of hard to cover all your properties. It takes at least 3 to 4 turns to get your artillery down here to defend your own properties. So he's a little slow at the get-go, but once he gets established, that's one thing about Grit, you cannot let them get established. You need to put them at a disadvantage as early as possible, because if they're even with you, you're in for a tough time. You need to be at least 3 or 4 income ahead of them, 3 to 4k income ahead of them permanently. You stand no chance on even ground against Grit. Grit is way too good. So you need to strike early against Grit. So basically, another thing about Grit, I'll just go into a CO background about Grit since you guys are like, oh, where's the tier 0 video? For a lot of YouTube comments, I understand. So I'll go into Grit a little bit. So Grit, I don't play him in standard because he's broken, but in Fog, the thing about Grit is his basic meat of his army, 50% of his vehicles are going to be artillery. Not rockets, nothing else really. Artillery, they are so cheap, and they move 5 with treads, whereas rockets move 5 with tires, which is terrible. But the thing about artillery, they're dirt cheap, they fire pretty far, and if you use a CO power, they shoot as far as a normal rockets for a normal CO. And if you use a super, they shoot farther than a normal rockets for a CO. That's just kind of mind-blowing. And they're 6,000 gold, which is crazy. So you're going to see tons and tons of artillery. Another thing, you do see the occasional rockets and missiles, but artillery are going to be the big meat of your army. Also, battleships are actually kind of viable on this map, and cruisers. If you use a cruiser, half the entire map is going to be unusable. And if you use a superpower, basically every area unit's going to die. That's just how it is. So cruisers and battleships are pretty dang good here. If there was a reef, they'd be even better, so you could have 2, but in this matchup, you kind of have to expose one to the normal 0 defense C if you want to build another. So usually you only see one of the other in this map. Another thing about Grit, artillery are important, recons are extremely important as well. He needs a lot of vision because he doesn't have tanks that much. So he needs a lot of vision, so he relies on artillery, recons, infantry, and anti-air. Anti-air are crucially important as a Grit player because a lot of people who go against Grit by default go heavy battlecopters. And that's a good idea. I don't disagree with that. But as a Grit player, you want to be prepared for battlecopter spam. So you're going to want to have at least 2 to 3 anti-air pretty early in the game, in just anticipation of having to fight a lot of copters. Medium tanks are actually a thing for Grit as well. You don't really build normal tanks, but you build medium tanks because the opponent won't usually build up tech. If I'm facing a Grit player, I go small and fast. I build a lot of recons, a lot of tanks, anti-air, I guess, sometimes. I don't really go to medium tanks. I don't really buy neo tanks. I also buy battlecopters, but really cheap, small things. So I have quantity over quality. So I can attack a lot of things, and if something dies, it's not a big deal. If you're lumbering around with the medium tank, it's going to die before it even reaches within a few feet of it, artillery. So you need something with at least 6 movement. And recons are actually great against them because they have 8 movement, especially on this map where there's tons of shoals and cities and roads. So you want sleek, fast units against a Grit player. And as a Grit player, to counterplay that counterplay, you want to have medium tanks to counter those small, fast units. So it's there's always another layer of counterattacking. So then once you're against Grit, who builds the medium tanks? You build the bomb? It never ends. It's just a constant game of intel, seeing what your opponent's building, etc. So Grid is pretty decent on this map because of the tier 2 COs. But otherwise, like if you put him against tier 1, he'd get smashed on this map. That's why Grid dropped down. Anyway, my opponent is also Wyam1694. I assume that's not his birthday, but I faced him once before, like when I first started Advanced Wars by Web. He's a nice guy. Played him back in like September or August, maybe. I forget if I won or lost. I just remember it was a close battle. And I wasn't that great back then. But anyway, cool dude. So without further ado, let's get into this game. So we start off with infantry build, nothing special. I always skip these turns. I honestly should just start at like turn 3. So, okay, he's going a little... He skipped this early base over here and he's going straight down. Okay. I don't quite recommend that. But I think his thought process is he's grit. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him early. He wants to get out his properties quickly at the front of the line. So, interesting play. I don't think it's quite as strong as he thinks, but yeah, it's not terrible. Normal infantry builds. Not in a single artillery yet. Actually, so sometimes I'm like distracted and stuff. And I forgot I was against a grit. And artillery aren't really that great against grit. So this was like a happy little accident. Like, I don't know, Arthur the artillery. I didn't mean to make Arthur. He's just my first unit by accident. I should have made a tank. I should have made a recon. 2 recons actually could have been cool. So whatever. So I made a little misclick there, and I was like, oops, whatever. It's it's not a big deal. I can use it somehow. He builds a tank first. I was actually surprised by that. I thought he'd build a recon, double recons, or an artillery. So I usually don't go tanks as grid. Maybe I build like 1 or 2, but you're not going to win tank wars. You're going to win with vision and with artillery. So I don't completely condone that. Now I was like right at the ship. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to use my normal build. Start building tanks and stuff. So Grit is also the king of death balls, is another thing you want to understand. Grit loves to have all these units clumped together and then just like impenetrable. You just can't break it. So maneuvering with Grit is important. Maneuvering around Grit is important, rather. So I do my standard, still standard, I do my double tank build. I usually do this on like 80% of the time on this map, unless my opponent is like, I love your YouTube videos. I'm like, ugh, now they know all my builds, so I have to do something original and not as good. But in this case, I was like, whatever. So it's pretty standard stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary. He builds an artillery coming down here. He builds an artillery coming over here. So he's splitting up his artillery. Not a terrible idea. Plopping the artillery in here and here will ensure that I can't capture this property and that I can't capture this property if he puts it right here. Right here also can fire on this property over here. I already got it though in anticipation. I'm bringing my tanks in early. I wanted to get off a shot because I know artillery aren't going to come in for a while. So this is like the golden hour. So this is kind of why the artillery is kind of a big mistake, because I could have had a tank an even turn earlier and completely prevented this before he sets up artillery. Maybe even spot his artillery before they go in those forests over there. So you want to get as much damage and much intel as you can early on in the game. So I kind of messed up my window of opportunity a little bit, but it's not a big deal. I can see his infantry capping. I won't kill it like I could have if I'd built a tank instead of an artillery. But whatever. I will kill it next turn after it caps with a tank hit and then an infantry hit. Completely clean. I know he doesn't have an artillery over there yet. I put Arthur on the front lines. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with you, man. Cover these 2 properties. Do something with your life. He's capping normally. See, you have to be kind of like wary. If you're another CO, maybe you try to go for this one. But like he has such weak tanks, like not quite worth it. Brings the recon down. Playing pretty well so far. In terms of builds, other than the tank, but I like he's probably going to build another artillery, start like spamming it. Probably 2 artilleries this turn. Oh, okay. I like this. But I probably would have gotten an artillery there instead of a recon, because he can afford it. But I do like the early anti-air. That's smart. I'm probably going to build a copter this turn. So that was a smart move. Props to him. He knows the counter grit play. So I think he's played grit before, just judging by what I've seen so far. I basically start attacking over here. I'm just poking him. I want to test where he's going to put his artillery. I'm not sure if he's going heavy top, heavy bottom, or split yet. So I'm just poking him. I want to see what's going on. We're pretty even on properties right now. Actually, he'll be ahead in the properties. So you want to, as an anti-grit player, not anti-grid, someone playing grid, you want to make sure you always have the property lead. So that's my first goal over here. I had to kill that. I'm thinking, okay, I can capture this or capture that. This one over here is probably safer, but I need to have some sort of income lead. I can't let him have that either is another thing. So Arthur will fulfill some sort of role. So Recon spots me over here. Oh god, the dreaded 3 artillery turn. That's when Grid like just cranks it up and it's like he's ready to go to town now. I'm getting good vision with my recons. I'm building a lot of recons and tanks, as I told you before. I like recons normally, but I love recons even more against Grid. You just like throw them in there into the fog. Maybe they get shot down by 10 artillery and just die on the spot. But you learn a lot of intel from it. So I interrupt this cap over here. I realize this infantry is probably going to die, but I still put it up there anyway. I see that he has 2 infantry right there. I'm going to probably position these tanks up here for a retaliation, see if I can get anything. Let me see what I did. No, I did not do that. I was going heavy on this property over here. That was my thought process. Oh, because I see the recon. So yeah, I'm just going heavy tanks, and I build my copter. So he had the anti-air in preparation. I build an anti-air. I always assume my opponent's going to build copters, no matter what they're. If they're Drake, I don't care, I'm building it. If they're Grid, I don't care, I'm building an anti-air. Anti-air is one of my favorite units. So I just, it's his default. I figure out, worst case scenario, he builds like 1 copter and it pays for itself immediately. So he gets on the offensive over here, which I don't agree with, seeing that all his units are over here in this clump. So these guys are probably not going to do too hot, especially my recon's going to beat his recon in a one-on-one. So I don't agree with that attack over there. He gets a nice hit off on this tank. I was kind of upset about that. I was like, oh god, it's begun. Just like, I don't know where it's hitting me from, but it's hitting me from somewhere. See, the vision of the tank doesn't catch up with the the shooting of the artillery. Normally you can see where you're shot at unless there's a forest or something, but with Grit you have no idea where you're getting shot at from for a tank. Maybe a recon you'll see, but for a tank you never know, which is kind of scary. So he interrupts the cap pretty easily. Interrupts my cap over here. Still have a slight income lead. I'm about to have more though. I'm going to do my best to interrupt, like I said earlier, interrupt all his caps and ensure that I have an income lead. He builds a medium tank, which is smart as well. He sees that I have a ton of tanks. He knows he needs artillery and medium tanks. They're going to be pretty good counters to my light, fast army. Kill the recon. He could still interrupt this cap over here. But I'm putting a lot of pressure, probably, kill it immediately, so I'm not sure if it's quite worth it. Get a nice recon hit off. Arthur hits another shot over there, a pot shot. He's kind of on the front lines, completely undefended, but I'm like, he's Grit. He's not going to, send his tank over here and get swarmed by all my tanks. That just doesn't really happen. So that's one thing you can take advantage of for Grit. They're not going to overextend. Well, if they do overextend, good game. But a good player will not overextend, so you can be a little more cocky with the front lines and poke them a little bit more and get away with it. Let's see over here. He does not interrupt my cap, so I will have that nice income lead. So right now, and he builds a T-copter. I feel neutral about that. That can work, that cannot work. He's covering up his artillery over here, basically ensuring that I can't enter that cat. I won't even try anyway. Just not safe. Now he's starting to really mass up into a death ball. This is an impenetrable fortress right now. He can cap this, no problem. Anything that tries to interrupt this cap of that infantry right there. Oh, I guess it didn't move. I don't know. Anyway, but there's no chance I'm gonna attack this death ball. This is a 4 artillery. They're all defending each other too. It's pretty terrifying. He's got 1 artillery up here. So my thought process at this time is, let's see what I did first. So I have a recon, which is very useful. It's going to die. But using it, I see that he has all this artillery and he has all this tank. And so at this point, I made let me see. Is it this turn that I made a really smart decision? Yes, this turn. So recons are the MVP of this match. So first thing I do, one thing I'm really good at in Advanced Wars, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not as good at many other things, but one thing I'm really good at is slithering behind enemy lines and being aware of vision. So whenever I do something big, I always make sure to kill the vision first. So I kill the recon. He has no vision of what's going on here except for these 2 infantry over there. I think I held off a little longer, but I move Arthur up here. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have to hold off this one. This is a lost cause. I'm gonna go for more of the middle. He's gonna have these properties. It's no big deal. I have this one. It's not gonna hold very long, but at least I have an income lead for now. Build double recons because recons are awesome against grit. And I kill this, and as you can see, I'm slowly kind of shifting away. Like there's this whole artillery thing, and what he wants me to do is attack into this, but I'm not attacking into it. I'm like right outside on the sidelines. So he's probably a little upset by that. I get a little feisty over here. I mean, I'm gonna get this because he doesn't have enough units. But he interrupts the cap, kills my recon. He did a great job before it died. He's building mechs now, so okay. You know, whatever. Mech spam, I guess, works too. Mechs and artillery. There's a few mountains you can plop on. One right there. One right there, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a huge mech spam guys, Grit, but I guess they're not as weak as tanks. So now his death ball is completely formed. Like, my god. 4 artillery here, a 5th on the way. If I went all out and attacked him, I would just lose on the spot. He's got an anti-air too for my B-copter. So at this point, I'm like, okay. I'm just going to shift all of my forces up to the top. Because I know he has this huge death ball over here. The thing about death balls, you don't fight into them. You avoid them and outmaneuver them. That's how you beat grits. That's how you, like, you know, get past them. You need to outmaneuver them. You need to use... If you're playing against grit, you might have a really bad kill to death ratio because they kill off so many units, grit does. But you need to use your map control. If you're against grit, you need to have map control. As you can see, I control the center completely. He just has a small little slice over here. He has a small little area, very concentrated, whereas I have map control. I can move pretty freely along these lines over here. So you need to use your map control and maneuverability. See, I just completely front shift. And he has nothing up here. He's got an artillery and he's got infantry. He can try to interrupt this cap, but then that artillery is going to get blasted. These are pretty slow to move too. Like if he moves them all up here, they'll be exposed and slow. Like you need to outmaneuver a grit. So he recaps that. I knew that was coming anyway, so I'm not even upset about it. Attacks this tank here. See, look how bad it is. Gets first strike and gets an even trade. So he sacks a few things up there. He's slowly moving his artillery forward. I'm not even caring that much. And he builds a battleship. Whew. So this gets scary now because it has a lot of range and it hasn't even popped its CO power yet. And once it pops it can actually reach this city all the way down there. It can, once he uses his CO power, it can, the entire map, one parallel is completely controlled. That is pretty insane if you think about it. So he's slowly moving all his units up, but I don't think he's going to be in there in time. So I just go all out. I'm like, all right. Boom, 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 boom. Attack with the T-copter up front because I saw that his anti-air was back over here at the time, so I felt pretty confident. I didn't think he had 2 anti-air at this time. And yeah, I just attack everything. Double capping, so I have a nice income lead at this moment. Not for very long, but I still have a nice income lead. I move Arthur up right next to it. Arthur's a peaceful guy. He's not going to fire on this artillery. He's just going to be buddy-buddy with him. Sit right next to him. So he's on the front lines. He's actually doing work for being a mistake of a unit. I move all my tanks up now. I'm kind of abandoning this area. I have like a skeleton crew. This is my weak side now. I shifted to my strong side up here. My weak side is now down here. So I have like an infantry to interrupt this cap and this cap. And then like a recon maybe. So as you can see, strong side, weak side, this is clearly my strong side right now. And it happened like within a second. I was the strong side like here 2-3 turns ago. Now I'm all in up there. So it's pretty crazy how that works. So let's see what he does. He gets that cap back and he's moving forward. His mechs, okay, interesting. He uses the boost, pretty smart. He's getting vision on things. He brings in his medium tank. I wonder how much damage it does. Yeah, so bad. Yeah, that was pretty ambitious. I don't know why he wanted to attack this tank when he saw that I had an artillery there. Maybe he was just like, okay, I'm going to shove everything in there. I don't know. I don't quite agree with that. I'm also getting dangerously close. Oh, wow. Popped his power and he reached a recon all the way over there. Jesus. So my super's coming up soon, so he's got to be beware. The winter is coming, and he's got to watch out. His anti-air... Oh, he should... Oh, no, he built one up here. Okay, he does have coverage. So now he has 2 anti-air, which I agree with. my winter is coming soon, so he's better watch out. I have a pretty nice lead in caps right now. Get a nice hit off on that medium tank, which is clutch, but now I'm going to get blown away next turn by these artillery and mechs. So I figure I might as well just get I need to get my super off and do a lot of damage. I just want to get this cap because I don't think he can reach. So if I can get that cap, it would be glorious. And now that I see all these units up there, it's a back and forth of front switching and stuff. I see that it's probably going to die to this battleship though, this tank, both these tanks. Oof, I saw that anti-air, yet I guess it can't reach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess it can't reach unless it kills a tank, which he will kill a tank. Kind of a stupid move on my part. It happens. I guess I figure I have a lot of copters. I see the battleship, but it does 1 damage to it in a port. That's kind of why you keep it there unless there's a reef, because it has so much defense. Crazy defense. 1 damage, but I'm so close to a blizzard. I need a blizzard because he's about to do a lot of damage to me. So I don't want to get $30,000 of damage to me and I only get a small smidgen of CO power. So I take a bad engagement. I fight a mech. Usually don't do that with anti-air, but whatever. I needed to pop this blizzard. I'm hoping to cap these 2 properties right there. He could interrupt that property cap with the roll, I think. Knock me down to 9, but it's definitely not worth it. Now, let's see. I probably build a bunch of light units. I built an APC. Oh, yeah. This is why I built an APC. I'm not trying to ferry infantry or anything. There's a certain unit that I don't particularly like, but it's going to have a lot of utility versus grit. That particular unit is stealth fighters. I don't like stealths, but it's going to force grit to build a fighter, a weak grit fighter. And if I can get this income advantage, a fighter's not going to come cheap for him. He's 21k right now, and a fighter costs 20,000. But if this battleship's taking repairs every turn, if I'm using Winter Fury all the time, I don't think he's going to be able to afford a fighter. So I was like, stealth. I can build the copters and stuff like that, but he's just capping anti-air, he's going to have missiles, he's going to have artillery, but stealth needs to have a fighter. So I was like, that's how I break through. I need to start spamming stealth fighters. So it's his turn. Let's see if he has any counterplay. He does. Spoiler alert. Attacks this copter here that I was careless with. Starts blasting. He hits Arthur hard. Arthur took an artillery to the left arm. Killing all my units, but I'm still got... See, that since this is so weakened by the... actually, that anti-air hit was pretty nice because now he can't stop this cap. So I'm losing a lot of units. I think at this point I looked at the kill-to-death ratio, and I think I was losing 2 to 1. Literally meaning that he's killed twice as many units as I have. And twice as many, as much value damage. Not as many units, but as much value and damage. Luckily, I have Winter Fury to help counteract that, doing a lot of damage. But, he has lower income, but look how close, our things are, even after I popped Winter Fury. So I captured both these properties. Now I have a nice income lead right now. 25k to 18k since you just lost 2. So I have a 7,000 income advantage. This is what you want versus grit. But by no means does this mean you're going to win, though. Because grit, you'll see. Grits are notoriously tough to bring down. I build my stealth. I figure I might as well build some infantry as well to ferry stuff over. I think I just sack a B-copter. I know I'm ahead in the income. So I'm just I need to start trading pieces off this map. I want to just knock pieces off. I get a nice 3 roll on this, which is beautiful. It's going to cost him 5,600 every single turn in repairs. So I want to keep this battleship alive personally. It'll kill a tank or something every turn. Or injure a tank or something. But I want him to be drained funds every single turn. So I bring in all my small little tanks and units and stuff. See, it's still no medium tanks. It's all just tanks, recons, infantry, Arthur, and stealth. That's basically it. Kills my battlecopter. Even though he's grits, he still one-hit KOs battlecopters with the comm tower. So his anti-air are perfectly fine. That's why you build grit anti-air. They're just good. They do the job. Freaking battleships and artillery are just shooting everything along over here. They're all dying. Like I said, my KD ratio is terrible. If you saw my KD ratio and had no context, you would think I would resign on the same turn. It was so bad. Atrocious. Brings in his infantry. He builds some missiles. So that's another I kind of like missiles as grid. You can plop it here. It's completely defended because I'm not going to have artillery except for Arthur. And it completely defends everything. The thing is, he's already kind of hunkered down. And I have all this income advantage. I'm probably going to start pushing down here. If he just turtles up, I'm just going to slowly build more and more and more income while he has less and less and less. So I'm not sure if I agree with the missiles here. Especially seeing as soon I'm just going to have stealths, and missiles can't hit stealths. So I don't know if I quite agree with the missiles, although they do have nice vision in range, so who knows. I guess if he plops it over here safely, like if he can somehow move it over here, and then surrounded by infantry and artillery or whatever, it can defend this battleship versus all the copters. But I'm not a huge missiles guy, but you know, they're a nice meme unit, so I give him a pat on the back for that. Pat on the back for that. Pat on the bat. Man, I'm crazy. Use my infantry boosts. Now I'm like, okay, I need to go down here. First target achieved over here. I don't want to keep fighting over here. I'll lose because he's going to build up a lot more things. Overextending. Remember what I said about overextending? I got my properties, and now I'm just going to fall back, hold these infantry back here, and defend these two properties. There's no use trying to fight there anymore. See, I'm just like healing them up. My tanks and stuff are no longer in the area. Now I'm shifting fronts again. I don't think I can count the number of times on one hand how many times I front shifted in this game. You have to be agile. You have to keep moving back and forth and keep them guessing, or it will beat you down. Soon going to have a superpower as well. Kill his recon because I love killing vision of grid players. And there's nothing more deadly than a 1 HP recon. Don't you forget it. Think it's dead and then it kills your whole family. Build another stealth. I'm just going crazy with the stealth. Look at my income. It's beautiful. Yet the game is so close because every turn he kills like 8 of my units. It's nuts. So now he pops a super, which means he can reach everything on the entire map. Just look at that. This was a cruiser. I think it could reach the city. Or one right here. That is insane. That is freaking nuts. I bet if you moved a cruiser here and popped a super, it covers like all the way down here to the properties. It probably covers these properties and everything. That is blows your mind. One shot's the tank, one shot's another unit, a named unit. Everything's just dying. He has an artillery that could one-shot that infantry if he gets vision of it. He's basically coalescing his troops. He wants to get the property back. He kills it. He's basically hunkering down, as you kind of have to with crit. But the income advantage is wearing on him. And the repairs from the battleship is wearing on him. So you can't see he only had 9k in funds this turn. He had 9k total. That's crazy. And still holding it on the fort. So I move my stealth forward. Don't reveal them yet. I want to be absolutely secret to the last moment so he doesn't have time to build a fighter. You don't want to ruin the secret. You don't want to put it on the enemy lines or fly it onto a enemy property where they can see it or anything like that. So I'm keeping them pretty hidden. See, I'm putting my... it was a little risky, but putting my copter up there. He could have moved his missiles down here and killed it. I was just kind of all in. I was like, whatever. I don't want him to have any more properties. I want to hold the 7k advantage for as long as possible. Then I build copters again. I'm like, you know, whatever. Why did I build an anti-air? Has he built a single air unit? I guess he had the T-copter. What was I thinking? Just habit. I don't know. I love anti-air. Just... c'est la vie. Oh, here's another cool thing. With recons, you can see everything within 5 squares. So if you're shot at, you know there's another recon in range. So by process of elimination, I knew there had to be a recon here because everything around me was revealed, except for this forest over here. To see this recon up there. Anyway, that's kind of random. But he moves all his artillery over here. Near his battleship. He's basically like his death ball is still clumping together. It's like a rubber band ball of units. He's slowly shifting it out there. It builds another missiles. Oh, you sweet summer child. You haven't seen the stealths yet. If only he had a fighter at this point. That would have been nice. If I was a grid, I probably would build a fighter just in anticipation. Because my income is 25k, I can afford a stealth every single turn. There would be some base skippings involved, but I could theoretically build one every single turn. I moved this up here. I saw that there's nothing on the property. I want to get a nice shot on that battleship. Move my units forward. Like I said, my next target is down here. I have this, I thought he had an anti-air over here. So I could have attacked this over here, but I didn't. Just being extra safe. Kind of crazy how I'm so reckless with some battlecopters, but other battlecopters I'm so, like, careful towards. Man, Arthur is straight chilling. He's still alive. My first vehicle, he's still alive. Wow. I don't know if he did enough to deserve a Best Buy gift card by any means. I think he only killed one thing, but whatever. Veterans. He's going for this property. He's going really hard for the cap. I don't think I can allow that. I really want the 7K. 5K just doesn't have as much a nice ring to it. He still hasn't even captured this intermediate property right there, the contested one. One shot's in infantry. He sees what he's doing. Sees what I'm doing, rather. Shifted all his units down here. He's got two death balls forming. One death ball here, a stronger death ball right in here in the center. At this point, I'm like, okay, I need some strong stealth play to drain his funds. My main goal number one, drain funds. Basically, airport lock him by making him drain funds. So if I do enough damage, 5.6k every turn from the battleship, do Winter Fury, and his income is less than 20,000, which is a fighter, I want to hold him from a fighter for like 3 turns. That would be beautiful. If I could hold him from a fighter, get 6 shots off with my stealths in the meantime, that would, you know, be awesome. Stealths aren't that strong. It does 4 damage. It's not as strong as a bomber. But now he sees it. Now I'm like, okay, I need to get a Winter Fury and damage a lot of units. Ensure that he can't afford a fighter this turn. Luckily for him, he saved up 8k. I don't know why, but he did. So he might be able to build a fighter this turn, which kind of scared me. So I was like, I need to get to Winter Fury. I'm not sure if I did. I forget. I don't think I wanted to. Yeah, I built copters again. I mean, I could probably just save up funds to build another stealth, but I figured 2 would do the job. Then he built a fighter. I kill the fighter. Oh, that's why I built the anti-air. I built the anti-air anticipating a fighter eventually. Then I can kill the fighter. Okay, I'm not a complete idiot after all. I thought I was. When I played this game, I knew what was going on. Okay, don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself. Yeah, everything's just dying up here. But I'm not going to let you get that property. You're going to kill everything, but I'm not letting you get that property. I'm getting Winter Fury next turn. That was ambitious. That has 0 chance of succeeding. I don't know why I was going for the comm tower. Killing on units. Arthur, though. Arthur's on the prowl. Man, everything just like... You see those little target things, and then something just dies. I wonder if he tried to... I don't think he could trap my stealth, because it has that 1 ocean tile. I don't think he would want to anyway, because I could get another hit on his battleship. Oh, he barely has enough for a fighter. Oh, my goodness. I got the Winter Fury. Oh, so he's going to have to triple base skip and build a single fighter. Which is... It's... I wish I could have blocked him, but that's still pretty damn good. And I'm going to use Winter Fury, so it's only going to move half the distance. So it's only going to move 4 squares. So, Blizzard time. Arthur gets a nice shot off in this. Without that shot right there, this tank wouldn't have come in and got the kill. So, props to Arthur for doing something. The tank's just, he's going home in a casket, though. Let's be real. Getting some more hits off in the battleship. Like I said, I could have killed it if I wanted to, but I want to keep draining his funds. I just want to keep draining and draining and draining his funds. It's going to cost so much money to give him for repairs. Look how much money I have. It's crazy. Yeah, I think I built another stealth this turn. I could buy a recon too, not just a stealth. I'm having a field day down here. I'm having a lot of kills, a lot of infantry kills. I basically completely control this bottom. He can interrupt with the tank, but then it will be attacked by this battlecopter. So it's looking pretty good at this point. I'm pushing hard down here. Skeleton crew, sort of. They're just like Suicide Squad trying to interrupt that cap, basically. The real force is down here in attacking the battleships. I built another stealth. He's going to have 18k in funds. Let's see how much damage I did via funds drains. Look at that. Look at that number right there. $1,400. At the beginning of his turn, he has 1,400 buckaroos. He can build a single infantry from all the funds drained, from the battleship, from the fighter, from the medium tank, from artillery, from, I don't know, man. All I know is that felt so good draining that much. Uses his power, starts just annihilating things, but I'm still feeling pretty damn good. See, half the movement. I'm like, all right. So I knew my stealths were safe for another turn. That's why my anti-air is over here. It would be covering both of them the next turn. So he's a Hail Mary trying to cap the center, but at this point, you look at the income and the value, it's like, it's pretty lopsided, and he resigns because he could build a single infantry. He told me, it was like, hey man, I can only build one infantry, good game. I was like, what do you mean? And then he showed me his funds. I was like, holy shit. So that was a fun game. I actually thought I was losing for a good majority of it while I was playing. In retrospect, I don't think I was, seeing all his units too. But the thing is, when you're playing a grid player, you have no idea how many units he has. I thought he had twice as many units because his kill to death ratio was so high. But once you see both sides, it seems a little more in my favor. But when I was playing this, I thought I was losing the entire time until I brought up the stealth, basically. Even with the income advantage. My kill to death ratio, I wonder if it shows up. Okay, it got better at the end, but it's still double. Look at this. 140,000 to 75,000. And that was like after I had a nice like last few turns. I think it was like 40,000 to 130,000. So like I did 1/3 of the damage. If you look at your kill to death ratio and you're doing 1/3 of the damage, that's like a really big like morale crusher. I thought it was getting annihilated, but luckily I just kept in it because I knew I had the income lead. But it felt like I was losing the whole time. So that's basically how you want to play against a grid. You want to maneuver around them, use a lot of small units. I didn't build a single Neo tank. I didn't build a single medium tank. I didn't build a bomber even. It was just a ton of recons, ton of tanks. Arthur over here, who survived the match, by the way. $35 Best Buy gift card? $35. Not quite $50 tier, because he only got like 1 or 2 kills. But he did get that nice kill on the mech that ensured that it kept that property. But anyway, on a tangent, yeah. And then like 2 anti-airs, 3 stealths, a lot of infantry, a lot of deaths. But you want to be sleek and you want to be quick. You can't afford to be teching up all the time. So I think I played that pretty well. And maneuvering, when he had this death ball here, a lot of people just fight into it, think you can kill all the artillery. You might kill 2 artillery, but then there's 3 behind it and you just lose. If I had attacked there, I would have lost. No questions about it. Like, you can't just give in to a grit and attack him where he wants to attack. You need to go around the ball. And then he moved up here. Then you need to go back over there. And he's slow. He's 5 movement, treads, and then missiles and whatever. Meanwhile, you have tanks that have 6 movement, artillery, not artillery, anti-air, you have recons with 8 movement. You need to use that maneuverability to beat grit down. And then stealths are a nice the finishing blow, because you need to make them invest in a weak and expensive fighter. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned a lot about grit. As a CO, I certainly did. This is the first time I played Grit in a long time. It was very refreshing to play. I was very worried at the beginning. For the first 15 plus turns, I was like, oh, why am I playing Grit? I hate Grit. Why is he tier 2? Take him out. But in retrospect, I quite enjoyed it. It was a struggle, but it was a great match. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment or whatever, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.